Chat's saying right now with Sauce Strip, don't make a trade. We're rolling right now. Keep the chemistry. Keep this unit together. It's working. Let's just keep going with it. Uba in chat would have remembered this saying, don't trade for anyone unless it's a big, and we'll explore that as well. But I think a lot of people believe that just keep it rolling. We're doing well. Keep these guys together. Let them do their thing. But at a certain point, does the front office look at how the Raptors are playing? Look at the Eastern Conference standings. Look at the state of the Eastern Conference and say, this conference could be for the taking this season. And if they do see that, would they consider a trade? And I think the biggest question I want to answer with this segment is, how good would the Raptors have to be? How far would the Raptors have to go with this group before they decide we have got to turn into a buyer in the trade market? Recent years, it's basically been Raptors start the season and just go see what they can do. And if things aren't going well, then you turn into a seller at the trade deadline. Never really had a lot of consideration in being a buyer at the trade deadline. I mean, I guess you could look at Brandon Ingram, but when it comes to Brandon Ingram, it was a guy who was in the trade block, and it was such a cut price deal. The Raptors did it, and it's looked terrific, of course. And I partially agree with you that it's like this season was kind of, I won't call it a free roll, but I think at this point it kind of is. Like we're way above expectations right now, and this is awesome. So you may as well keep this group together, because even if you fall off the pace a little bit in this Eastern Conference, even if you fall off to like a 60, that's still probably exceeding the realistic expectations going into the season. That's a terrific outcome, finishing as a top 6 team. But when does it turn into, okay, this is for real, we're winning a lot of games, we're beating good teams, we can really make a run at this season, let's go be a buyer. Let's make a big upgrade and make a run at the Eastern Conference this season. We're not there yet. But when does that become something the Raptors strongly have to consider? Well, let's take a look here. 13-5 on the season, second in the Eastern Conference, now projected to have according to Sportsbook odds at FanDuel, we looked at them earlier, they're projected to have a 76% chance of making the playoffs at this point. Pretty strong. Still, some thought they could fall back far enough to be in the play-in tournament, but 76% chance at a playoff spot right now. And obviously a trade even strengthened those odds further. The more games the Raptors win, it strengthens those odds even further. Well, let's look at the state of the contracts for the team. Because to make a trade, there has to be stuff that's outgoing. There has to be expensive contracts that are outgoing. The only 2 real tradable contracts I see right now are of Emmanuel Quickley and RJ Barrett. Those are the only 2 real tradable contracts that I see. Brandon Ingram's terrific. You're not going to move him. Scotty Barnes, your centerpiece. You're not going to move him. Jakob Poeltl, I don't see a trade happening because that's your rock. That's your anchor. That's your rim protector. That's tough to replace. And I don't see the Raptors just making a direct upgrade in that position. I could, however, see the Raptors making a direct upgrade at point guard or on the wing with RJ Barrett. I'm not saying trade both of them, but one of those 2 players, plus a younger player, plus draft capital, could turn into something for the Raptors. And this segment isn't focused in particular on the exact type of trade that the Raptors could make. We'll touch on some names potentially, but it's more so like, if it's at all realistic, when do we start to go, okay, it's time to make a run at this East because we're a good team and the East is there for the taking. So those are the only 2 real tradable contracts. In the end, Bobby Webster came into the season saying there's like a 0% chance that this team is going to stay the same through the season. I think part of that is a luxury tax situation. The Raptors slightly in the tax right now. Seems like the easiest player to make a move with to get out of the luxury tax is Ochai Agbaji. Again, you could say, what if they're winning? They may just get Rodgers to pay the bills here because they're winning. I still see them having a desire to move Agbaji. He hasn't been a super significant part of the rotation. He's been in rotation, but he hasn't been a significant part of the rotation as of now, as we stand. 18 games into the season. So I could see them cutting some cost there, or with a trade in another endeavor. And maybe if they make this big trade, they decide like it's worth going into the luxury tax a little bit. Because again, they're not very deep into the luxury tax. It's just something to consider in this conversation. With those contracts, man, the type of players that I'm considering like could be an upgrade. Like if you can directly upgrade at point guard with a Trae Young, you could argue an upgrade could be LaMelo Ball. You could argue an upgrade could be Ja Morant. Is there something there? Because I think the Raptors would ask around for those guys and maybe offer up for like a Ja Morant who could end up being on the trade block and a LaMelo Ball who could end up being on the trade block. Maybe for one of those two guys, if it's Emmanuel Quickley, Abaji, and one pick, that seems like an upgrade to me in that position. And I think that's something the Raptors would do regardless if they feel like it's an upgrade and they're only giving away one pick. But like, the big fish sort of trade is what I'm talking about here. I'm talking about Trae Young, who I think is a tremendous upgrade at point guard. I am a massive Trae Young fan, even with his bad defense. His playmaking is absolutely elite and would be a significant upgrade over Emmanuel Quickley. His shooting and scoring is definitely an upgrade over Emmanuel Quickley. And I like Quickley, and I like Barrett. I'm just saying the Raptors could smell blood in the East and think there's an opportunity to upgrade. And I feel like these are some very clear upgrades. Or do you like Emmanuel Quickley enough? You want to keep him, and you say, well, RJ Barrett is a guy we've explored trading already. I think the Raptors are doing fine with Barrett, and I think they could continue to do fine with Barrett. But if there is a direct upgrade to be had there, would they explore it? Like, what if you can turn RJ Barrett's usage, turn it down a little bit, put it more so towards Scotty Barnes and Brandon Ingram, who are the better players, and you can turn that RJ Barrett usage into a really good floor spacer who is a very good defender as well, a 3-and-D type of player. Like in the state of the Pelicans right now, the Pelicans have been terrible. Their record is awful, and they don't own their own first-round pick this season. They don't own any first-round picks this season. Really bad look to be 3-15, bottom of your conference by 1.5 games, and not have a first-round pick. Do the Pelicans consider amassing some draft capital and parting ways with somebody like Trey Murphy? That would be really interesting for me. Or, as Sauce Drip in chat says, like a Herb Jones. Maybe not to the same degree, but would something like that come into play? Like, these are like pretty clear upgrades here. And Anthony Davis, as Dunks is asking in chat, I'm not as interested there. It is an upgrade to Pirtle, but I'm more afraid there because of the contract situation, the injury history, and that fit does scare me a bit more than the other names that I've listed here, even though there could be some fit issues with a guy like Ja Morant. That one still scares me a bit too much. But regardless, even a name like AD, if the Raptors feel like that makes them a lot better, how far does this have to go? I think if the Raptors if we get to mid-January, and we're a top 4 seed in the East, and it looks like we're going to continue to be a top 4 seed in the East, I think at that point, there has to become a time where the front office gets aggressive and goes, all right, we're good. The East, the Pistons have been great. We'll see how much they continue. And you know what? They could feel the same way. Like, they could win the East. They could make a big trade or something like that. Cavaliers could do it, for sure. Miami always want to be buyers, so they could do it. But it feels like I think any team in the top 8 right now can even go as far back as the Bucks were in 11th, and I know they've lost 5 in a row. But I think any team in the top 8 in the East right now is thinking the East is for the taking. There is no clear dominant force here. The Cavaliers, I think they can be, but the Darius Garland health situation, like, when Darius Garland's healthy, yeah, that team is a force to be reckoned with the East. But it's kind of becoming more apparent that you just may not be able to get a healthy Darius Garland throughout the entire season. If you're a top 4 team and the trade deadline is a few weeks away, I think you got to really start making some aggressive phone calls because, windows the windows don't always maintain on a year-to-year basis. There could be a big shift in the East. You never really know how things are going to change year to year. If you as a Raptors team find yourself in that striking position, you owe it to yourself and you owe it to your organization to go and make that big offer and try to make something happen. If it is like a Trae Young or a Trey Murphy, either of the Trays, as I mentioned, those are the two big ones for me. I'd be really interested. Look at what the Orlando Magic did with Desmond Bane. They overpaid a little bit. They gave away 4 first-round picks to get him, but that was such a perfect fit. Hasn't quite, clicked yet. It could throughout the season, but that was such a perfect fit. They thought, the East is there for the taking. Let's be a team that makes a run at things here. Why wouldn't the Raptors think that as well, being a top 4 seed? If they're in the mix there, it's time to strike. It's time to really consider making a big move like that. Maybe not like a 4 first-round pick trade, but like 3. RJ Barrett, a young player, or Abaji, and 3 first-round picks for Trey Murphy. I'd probably sign up for that today, let alone if we get to January and things are still looking really good for this Raptors team.